So Mayor Pete's campaign has quickly morphed into 75% platitudes and cliches and 25% corrupt gimmicks trying to fool everybody. So here's the most recent iteration of that, and a rather obvious one. So The Hill reported, Buttigieg's campaign introduces contest for lowest donation. Now, the stunning thing to me is how quickly everybody pointed out what this clearly is, and how apparently, Mayor Pete's boardroom of staff members and experts, they couldn't figure it out and acknowledge that other people are going to figure out what you're doing here. But the goal of this whole, little, whatever you want to call it, contest that they're having, the entire point of this is to lower his average donation number. So, you have Bernie Sanders is obviously leading the pack among these kinds of candidates, but you have people bragging about having a low average donation number. And what that tells everybody is I'm not being funded by, health insurance industry executives, Wall Street CEOs, billionaires, corporate PACs. What that tells everybody is I'm grassroots funded, and so I'm very likely to represent the grassroots. I'm very likely to represent the people because I'm only taking money from teachers and construction workers and, average Joes and Janes. And Mayor Pete knows damn well that he's in a position right now where his average donation is really high because he's been doing his wine cave fundraisers. And so he's like, okay, we got to try to fix this in one way or another. And they came up with this blatantly obvious scheme. And again, the thing that I'm stunned about is how did you and your group of experts not know that everybody would immediately find out what you were doing here? This is such like a sleazy trick. And they're banking on, people not recognizing what they're doing. But the second that this news came out, everybody on Twitter was like, oh, we see exactly what you're doing. Now, you could say Twitter isn't real life. Okay, I half agree and half disagree on that point. But I think it's insulting to people's intelligence. I think a lot of people understand exactly what's going on here. Probably the majority of people understand that. So he's trying to bring down his average donation so that he can turn around and try to make the same kind of point that Bernie Sanders is making as a grassroots funded candidate. But here's the part, the thing that gets me is this. Mayor Pete just spent an entire debate defending the fact that he has his, wine cave fundraiser. And that, we don't want to go into a fight with Trump with one hand tied behind our back, so this is what we have to do. We can't believe in unilateral disarmament. We have to win. So if you're going to make that case, as he did very clearly on the debate stage, well then, why even bother doing this gimmick? You already made the case for corruption, for legalized bribery, for big donors. So I don't understand why you would go through the trouble of doing this little gimmick here, your little gimmicky contest to try to lower your average donation. Because you made the case that there's nothing wrong with taking big donor money. So why are you bothering to hide it? And that's, where the truth comes out. The truth is, he realizes damn well, guys, he understands it. He gets why it's very problematic and questionable to take money from corporate PACs and billionaires and CEOs and people at the top of that economic ladder. He understands that because everybody understands it innately. If you're raising funds from those people, you're very likely to represent those people. Those are the people who you're in the same room with, you're rubbing elbows with, you're sipping cocktails with, and so their concerns represent your concerns. And when they give that money, it is a de facto bribe. And he could try to flip it back on us and say, okay, well then is it a bribe when small dollar donors give money? To which my response is, well, yes, but the concerns of small dollar donors are the concerns of average people. Hey, our wages are low, they're stagnant. Hey, we don't have health care. You know, hey, my kid was locked up for smoking marijuana, and I want to support a candidate who wants to legalize recreational marijuana. If you're taking money from health insurance companies, their executives, you're taking money from Wall Street, their concerns are, please keep allowing us to rig the system in our favor and screw over average people. So, you know, this story is actually really important because it shows you that now we know that when Mayor Pete was defending his wine cave corruption, we know that he knows in the back of his mind that he's being really sleazy and he's being really gross. And he understands why his argument was BS. His argument about, oh, we don't want to go into a fight with one hand tied behind our back. Oh. He understands why that's a nonsense argument and why he's functionally and effectively arguing for legalized corruption. So, to me, guys, the only kind of bribery that's okay is if you're being bribed by small dollar donors and regular people who are just trying to fix the system and make it more fair and just and equitable. If you're taking money from corporate PACs, if you're taking money from Wall Street people, big pharma people, health insurance company people, that's not okay. And clearly, on some level, Mayor Pete gets that and agrees with that, which is why he and his team went through all the trouble to come up with this sleazy trick here of, let's have a contest for lowest average donation. Oh, would you look at that? Our average donation now dropped massively, and it's, I don't know, somewhere in the ballpark of, you know, where Bernie's is, although I still don't know if it'll even get to that. I think Bernie's this time around is $18 average donation. Last time it was $27. He's got way more. He's got millions of small dollar donors. He's literally breaking every record on this front. But this is Mayor Pete's attempt to get into that ball game so that he can come out at one of the next debates and be like, well, he's every time he talks, it's a fake Obama impression. I'd like to tell Senator Sanders that we have surpassed him with our small dollar donor money. Our average is now $17. So suck on that, Senator. Like, this is what he's angling for. Or maybe if you want to say, okay, people caught him, so he's not going to do it in debate, fine. But there was a plan to use the talking point somewhere. In, you know, campaign fundraiser emails, maybe. We have the smallest average donation. He was going to do this somewhere. And it was a sleazy trick from day one. So I just want everybody to understand that this is what's going on and this is who Mayor Pete is. And if you're defending him, you're defending this kind of trickery and deceit and nonsense. Clearly, he knows something is wrong with having one of the highest average donations. Clearly, he knows that indicates who he's more likely to support. And so he's trying to fudge the numbers, and they could have came up with a better scam to do so, because this one doesn't even really have plausible deniability once it's called out.